Hello, friends. Thank you for coming back to Human Up TV. This is 1776 now, and this is episode 8. A house united, one nation indivisible. Last time we talked about a house divided, and we started to get into the science of what creates that deep division and polarization. Today, we're going to look at the solution. We're going to look at the medicine. We're going to look at what is it going to take to become we the people, one nation, indivisible, for real this time. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, let's get started. It's another exciting day. I always get so excited because I know that whatever happens, we're just going to go deeper, and we're gonna really ask you to again lean in with us. You know, take those deep breaths, turn on your mind lights, and really try to stay with us. Really try to listen, because when you get this is not information that we're delivering here. You know, there's so much of of the talk that's going on out there is on the premise that if you get information, you get knowledge. So it's kind of like the Lucy movie, spoiler alert. You know, in order to get to 100% of brain power, that's the equivalent of knowing all of the facts, all of the things, all of the information. We're suggesting that knowledge is deeper than information. And that's where the medicine is that heals our consciousness and liberates them emancipates us from mental slavery, to use that lyric again. And if we're going to really make that crossing, we have got to wake up in a profound, deep sense that you may not foresee at this point. Our job is to help you gain the literacy, gain the vision, the activision, to see that bigger drama that we're in. And that is the wake up we're talking. It's that zoom out. As you said yesterday, Dad, you got to zoom out to zero in. We've got to zoom out. That's the stop. Hey, look what's going down principle, is step back and zoom out. So we want to start with a song that's just going to activate those juices. I want you to speak on it, Dad, if you'd like to, but I'm going to say really quick just the backstory.
It's important to hear the background. I love this song, this call of waking up.
Yeah, and basically...
What I like to say, just as like a man in the mirror, I'm going to make that change. We're going to vote up. We're going to human up. All of these gestures of awakening. There's so much talk and so many attempts to talk about awakening. Mm-hmm. Right? Waking up. And make a change your story, change your perspective, change your life, change your paradigm. There are all kinds of transformations and changes and awakenings and enlightenments and all of that in spirituality here. But as long as it's in the red zone, that's the main point. We're still in the cave-like space of reason. It's not the awakened reason. It's not enlightenment. It's not the crossing. This crossing is all important. So when I heard your wake up, it's the call. This is the call to wake up. USA, for example, but this is for the whole planet, all human beings, of all of our great spiritualities and wisdom teachings and enlightenment teachings. Wake up is to leave the matrix. We haven't seen that clearly. To wake up is to cross into a new version of ourselves, to become awakened beings. That's the wake up call. And we need, all humans across the planet urgently need this, to hear it. And overcome the colonized space that we're living and conducting our lives and our experience and our politics and our love life and everything in this space. So I think this song is just a wonderful call to rise.
I'm glad you said that too, you know, in terms of bringing it into that global light. And I feel this song carries that energy, absolutely. Because I had a friend recently who rightfully said, you know, in her first impression of our show, you know, it's not just about America. And I said, of course it's not. Of course it's not. We're in the American lab right now, the USA lab, as a cutting edge of the potential of reaching for the first time on planet Earth, a truly mature democracy. And in that sense, we have the potential of being the quote unquote leaders of the free world. But we want to remind you guys that this is about the whole planet. What we're seeing in the American lab is universal. You can jump over to Germany, you can jump over to China, you can jump over to Venezuela, you can go anywhere in the planet and you see the fundamental, the skeleton of the issue is everywhere, right? And so that's very important. And in that global spirit, this song, I think, kind of zapped me. I get a lot of my songs in dream time, meaning when I'm sleeping, I'll be hearing a song, I wake up and I go, oh, I got to record that. So this is one of those songs, and it was a profound dream. The imagery was actually, funny enough, it was Bob Marley in the dream sitting on the hood of an old car in some big, vast open space with the sun rising. And that's the only imagery I remember of the dream per se. But these lyrics started to come through that you're going to be listening to and reading along with, about knowing that we can turn a blind eye. I know that I can fly away, so to speak. I know I can ignore or turn away from the issue, but the deep conscience in all of us knows that we're all crying. The people are crying. The earth is crying, and we have got to wake up. So there's a kind of urgent call and an urgency. And I heard the music, the drums, all that you're hearing in this song was basically what came through in the dream. So it's different than like writing a song off the top of your head. It's more like something that seems to come through. So I just wanted to share that with you so you can feel the magic even more. So here we go.
Close my eyes and I feel this world in sorrow. Open my eyes and I see into tomorrow. I realize that I can fly away. I realize the reason that I stay. Wake up, wake up, wake up. 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 Wake up. Another day to wait until tomorrow. Another day that's wasted on the sorrow. I realize that I am only one. I hear the cries. Today I will not run. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
I said, I realize that I am only one. And that can have a kind of a mixed sounding message, because what we're suggesting is that every one of us, there is a humbleness to knowing we're only one. Each one of us is one person. We can't be narcissistically focused on our own interests, lest we invite an accelerated demise of our greater community around us. But there's a different kind of one, a double bracket one, to put it that way, that is very powerful. That is the one that, say, a Gandhi tapped that kind of one power, for example. And we all have that. We all have that power when we get sourced, as we like to call it. When we get the source science, when we gain the active vision, you become a truly powerful one in the deepest sense. And, Gandhi, to bring in that global vibe, they called it satyagraha, which is truth force. And so that's really another beautiful name for what we're after here. The truth force is what's getting eclipsed. When we say one nation under law, indivisible, the law, that deeper law, that higher law is the satyagraha, the truth force. And that's universal. That doesn't belong to America. Democracy does not belong to America. America belongs to democracy. And that's something that belongs to humanity in a much deeper sense. So where would you like to go with this now, Dad? I was listening to your insights this morning, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is getting even more powerful and awesome by the day. So I'm going to hand the baton to you and just go for it, because you're bringing in some really profound clarity on this ideological conundrum we find ourselves in.
Right, well, thanks, Nathan. It was beautifully opened up. You orchestrated so beautifully in terms of the wake-up call to come out of the cave, right? The shock waves of culture here that's still embedded within the colonized space. And when we say colonized, we don't just mean only politically, but rationally colonized, existentially, ontologically colonized. Our language itself, our logic, our code is colonizing because our informationism and narratology, the narrations that we have when we have our stories, and this technology is equal opportunity across the planet. So the wake-up call is, I'm reminded of Socrates saying to humanity, we're in the cave and we need to enter the logos. Or the Jesus saying, unless you die, you can't be born again, make the crossing. Or Buddha calling us to awakening the life of enlightenment in rational Buddha space, into the law, into the place of connectivity and compassion and ethics in the Dharma. All of these are wake-up calls for centuries. And so, Nathan, I think what we're suggesting is that humans at this stage of our evolution, which is a great to have information. This is Google space. We talk about it. We have content, our emotions. I'm angry. I'm hopeful. Our mental states, our personal inner life, our outer lives, all on this space. And we don't see it. We need a hologram to zoom out, to zero in and see what we couldn't see before, because we see here. That's just arrows we see here. This is as if the screen of our consciousness, where my world shows up and my experience is processed and all of my information. And the point is, the red zone gives us the power to change our lens and change our worlds. We have a lens, a culture, a worldview, a religion. We have a lens. Let's put it here, I and we, because I am not alone. I am with my people, my homies, my tribe. And we have a lens, a way of interpreting, and I can change the lens and change my story, and therefore a different world, a different objects, different content comes up on as if I'm watching a movie of my life and my worldview, so to speak. And we don't realize that we can have deep oppositions here between that one says yes and one says no. And when we think we're the other, if I'm theism, then atheism is different. No, but you're still in the same. So the theist and the atheist are still here. The good and the evil still here. In the political split, say in the USA, if there's a Republican and a Democrat, they're othering. And the other is seen in their own ideology. You have a different reality. So the reality here is not the same as reality here. If I say Big Bang and you say no Genesis, it's a different world.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand the differences, but we're in the same boat when we say the same boat. So the point is, you can have profound opposition in this language space because of a law. The law A is A, which gets this game going. That's this game. A is A. It really is the code, the convention, the rational space, single bracket reason, great as it is, information. Information is important and great. And it's not a matter of not, but to trans information into the deeper space.
Pause a moment, just because I know how hard that the A is A point is so simple that it's hard to realize how fundamental it is. And I know we probably touched on it before, but just one of the ways I like to teach it to, say, my clients or whatever is, A is kind of saying a thing is what it is and ain't what it ain't, So this is a water bottle, it's not a pen. This is a pen, it's not a water bottle. Everything gets its own tag. That's why to say the pen is a pen is kind of like saying A is A. It's such a ground. It's as fundamental to our thinking as the ones and zeros are to the cyber world.
Good.
Good. I just wanted to point that out real quick.
But this is important because we've been saying several things. This house, the red zone, is divided. And it's divided by the technology itself. It's not even that we're divisive or dividing. We like divisions. No, we want unity. We want unity, but the space itself, the technology, A is the divider, because when I say A, it separates from what is not A. So this is an either or. It's A or B, A or not A, is or isn't. And I can just affirm it. So there are several things going on. My story can be a positive affirmation, and the other alternative story, the different world, the different narrative, the different ideology. We talked about Legoland. We have to bring up these themes from the episodes 1 through 7. We say this is Legoland because it cuts us off from access to the logos, compassionate space of ethics, and where USA in 1776 is calling us to the law. The logos is the law. What is the law? The connectivity of reality itself. Its being itself is a connection, is a flow. And when we're in the zone with the flow, with the Dharma, with the law, with the Christ, with the Buddha, with the yoga, all of these calls to this place, that's when you're connected, and that's the place of unity. That's the unum with diversity, pluribus. Unum pluribus is one word. Unum is infinite unity, because the infinite is infinitely indivisible. So if you say one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, this is the house of unity. This is the state of the union, real unum pluribus union. And that's one of the mottos we have in the American scene. It's a human thing. How can we be a community, an unum polis, a gathering of humans, pluribus, each unique, each sacred, and diverse, and yet connected? We can't do that in this technology which divides, because when you're playing the A is a Lego game, every A is a separate unit, a separate piece. And so my world, my story, I am my story. And if the opposite story is threatening me, if I'm theism and the atheism, no, that's terrible.
Another one just occurred to me too. This will blow your mind. Violence. If you make violence the plus, peace is the minus, or the other way around.
Or the other way around.
Because this is so key, and this is new, I think, in general. I think this is still a new thought to even have in the general public. We think that the positive trumps the negative, right? We think love trumps fear. And who would ever argue that peace is better than war, right? No one would ever argue that. But we're asking you to do something very bold. This is the zoom out part, and see the same boat. Could peace just be unviolence? Or violence just be unpeace? And that
it's still in the violent place. The point we're making is
and
that
inseparable.
Why is this violent? This is a great novel. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No. I was just finishing that thought. Could peace and violence actually be two sides of the same coin? That's
the same boat.
And so the peace that we've been going after, a peace that's not possible. Not a real. It's not a. The peace we've been after is not the real.
Versus war, right in the zone, are still in a common violence.
Mm-hmm.
This has not been seen. Why is this violent? Why is this innocuous A is a basic law or code, which is not the same as A is A? I don't want to clutter this up, but every A is A. That's a different law. Every A is A. We could write it this way. Every A is A. This is huge. USA is USA. Mm-hmm. USA is USA, mm-hmm. for example. So the same boat insight is that could we be lodged, we humans, in a deep violence by the very technology we're using of objectify? Because when you say A is A, it does several things. One is it puts me A and different from not A. And so I and not I. And so it's self and other. So the other is a not A. So it's me and not me. And so what this leads to A is A is that when we start together, we're always going to be in Lego blocks, separate units.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, because I think that I've got my own space and I'm self-sustaining. Every Lego block makes a gross mistake, and a great teacher saw it, that I'm a separate being. Whereas when I'm here, let me use a different color. When I'm here, in the Logos space, I am infinitely connected with the other. I'm not separate. I and the other are intimately bound and woven together in the Unum Pluribus. The other pluribus is the other. I, other, multiplicity. And
even with the person that you disagree with more extremely than anyone else, or even the person that you hate or despise, the person that is your enemy.
That's right.
You can't get away from them. You can't separate yourself from them.
Imagine that you're you're the positive sign, you're the good person, and that's the other. Your other is a bad, negative bad, and you're in the same boat, and they each demonizes the other. The theist and the atheist, for example, the pro-life and the pro-choice, the Big Bang and the Genesis, on and on, the Republican and the Democrat, in the impeachment drama, for example, it's clear they're different worlds. They're looking at different realities because they're using different lenses, but they're in the same boat.
And they're both justified. They both feel they're the right ones.
They both feel they're holding USA. They're holding the Constitution. They're up for the law. We are holding the law. No, we are holding the law. And the House is divided across an ideology.
And it's dangerous now. We're in the danger zone.
It's dangerous because this entire cultural technology is imploding. It's unsustainable. The Lego land cannot survive. It needs the juice. It needs the source of connectivity of Unum. We need the Unum to survive in the pluribus. We don't know how to find that yet. 250 years of American holy experiment. This is a holy experiment. It's not here. The holy experiment is, can we be a republic? Can we sustain it? Will we be a republic? Not that we have it. Can we be we the people? Or are we a scattered Legoland of collections of diverse ideologies? And Arthur, I think please let me finish this, because on this, because I know the next song that's coming up is Relayshun, and I want us to see the power of that song speaking to the brokenness. And when we're speaking of the American case, it's only one example across the planet for all humans living under the sway of the Lego code of being together and processing information in Google space. Google space has been here for 2,500 years and beyond. We have a computer to bring it out of the Google, but Google means information. And the information, it is or isn't. And we can say yes or no. And we can say yes or no to this outside, not just here, but I can say yes or no. I can affirm it or deny it. It's the opposition. It's the or. It's a splitter. The single bracket, so to speak, the red lines is a splitter. A is a divides and makes into pieces and fragments. And our whole cultural life is based upon that. And we're all doing it. Good people and bad people, geniuses, artists, creative people, courageous, heroes, all of the good stuff. It's still embedded within this space. So 1776 is saying, as long, if we are in a form of life and culture making and political building that's in a form of a thought form. Here's a thought form. It's a technology of consciousness. It's a thought form that shapes our reality. We have to know that we shape our realities not altogether, but with our minds. How are we using? If this matrix is using us, we're colonized rationally, existentially. Our life has become objectified because everything is an object. I have an I and it. But when we cross into the compassionate love land, the high land, the rational space of law, this is the space of law, of I and thou. And you don't, it's not objectified. This is objectified. This is I, it, but this is I, other, thou. That's the space of deep dialogue.
And that's the code of reality and the code of nature. And I was thinking, I wrote down climate a while ago because there's a lot of talk about people who care about the climate. But guys, if you care about the climate, you have to understand that the climate change principle, pollution, that's objectively going on, if you focus on that as the problem, again, that analogy I used last time, if we take activism in the form of bailing out the Titanic with buckets, as good-hearted as that attempt is and how noble as that is, if you're going down no matter what, you've got to go higher. And in this case, the climate, going higher in this case, is to see that the climate is, nature is a metaphor.
That's right.
For the climate of our consciousness.
The climate of consciousness, the climate of culture, the climate of opinion.
And the pollution is the exhaust that comes from being exhausted and exhausting ourselves in this artificial, synthetic form of relating and seeing and perceiving and thinking. It's just grinding against nature. The pollution is a metaphor for the noise and the disillusion and disarray and disconnection of our consciousness on the personal level all the way to the global level. So I just wanted to bring that point in so you guys see this is not just, some kind of theoretical talk. This is literally this, if we were to think of it in terms of I really actually think the computer code, when you talk about Google, nothing, not putting down Google. Google is an awesome instrument and tool. We use it kind of as a code word, as, the mother of all search engines. You can Google anything. In other words, you can type in, you can just as well say, any other search engine. So again, I want to be clear, we're not dissing Google, but it's a code word for a kind of space. Like you can Google love. You can Google the word love, and you'll get all kinds of, images of hearts and people hugging or kissing and romance and and definitions and all that stuff. But you're not getting love from the information. The deeper place of information, that's like when I say nature or the climate or the environment is what we are constantly and almost parasitically simultaneously using and abusing and ignoring. And look at the climate crisis in that context, in terms of the deeper cause. Because if we don't get to that, we can figure out how to get the plastic out of the ocean and reduce carbon emissions and conserve water and all that's important. But we're just swimming upstream, so to speak, if we don't realize that we're just, we could be cleaning up on this side and we're still polluting on this side if we don't get to the source of pollution. So I just wanted to bring that analogy in because I know it's a very key and it's a very dividing factor in our culture right now.
That's right, Nathan. And so one of the themes from episode 7, but it's haunting us through 1 through 6, is that ideology is like a religion. It's a story you're living by. It's a narrative that you live by. You can be a scientist and believe deeply in the rationality of science as a way of getting at truth and experimentation and verification and the community of independent corroboration, all of that, great. And that story, and you could have you still have a lens in your scientific theory, the conceptual structure and framework on which you interpret nature and the data, and that can be a religion. It's your belief system, because belief is what I affirm. I say yes to this story. I say no to that story. Yes, no, isn't. And that the point we're trying to bring out is that the same boat is profound and we haven't seen it. When we other the other, we think we're on safe ground. If I believe in Jesus, you are following Allah, and I know that I have the truth and you are not, and you're my other and you're heathen or whatever, or vice versa. right? So the whole question about, for example, Islamophobia, the phobia of Islam, the other religion, or the conflicts between the Judaism and Christianity and Islam, and the battle between science and religion, right? They're in the same boat. It's like a religion. When you zoom out now, when you're in here, it's hard to see that ideology, this being in this place, is dominating every story we have. It's an ideology, it's a narrative. It's me, it's my world. It's don't mess with my world. If my world is threatened by the other, and my identity is my story. If my narrative is threatened, say political correctness, those others are trying to legislate how I should use my mind and how I should speak. No way. My vote, my voice, my identity, my space, that don't mess with that. And you reject the other. The other gets demonized. But it's like a religion, right? It's like a religious war. So if America, house divided, is a battle between the Republican and the Democratic alternative ideologies in the same boat, and each is pointing the finger at the other and saying, you know, I'm good, you're bad, I'm the USA, you're not, this is my land, this is not, all of that, you know, battle that's going on is a religious war. Yeah. It's an effective religious war. The war between science and religion is a religious war. Between theism and atheism is a religious war. So, and we need to see that, because why? Because it's all important. If you take away my story, I'm pro-life, you take that away, I'm giving up who I am, my identity. I never will give up that. And you say I'm pro-choice, and you take my story away, you're giving up my freedom, the most important thing to me. Because, so these alternative stories are like religions, and ideologies are religion. And we've always been, as long as America, USA, for 250 years, this is the question we're posing, that our elders, our founders, it's not that we're following them, but they were tapping into the 1776, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that we're endowed by the source, nature's God, God's nature, logos, with inalienable rights of human rights. And it's not that a convention, a political gift. You don't get political rights from a political convention. You have it. We are intrinsically. And we form governments to protect this, not ideologies. So partisanship, a partisan is an example. You know, what is the party? My ideology is my agenda. That's what I'm voting for. I'm voting for my candidate. That's my ideology, right? And you have your party, and we're worlds apart. A party. This is the aisle. It's broken.
That's the aisle. Yeah.
We can't be bipartisan. Is here. It's dialogue. If we're partisan, we're being a naive, ideological slasher of the other and self, and it's a form of existential, rational violence.
Exactly. And if we don't hire, there's no kind of like, well, we're going to take our America over here and you take yours over there, and you know the hell with you, I got mine. You know, that is suicide, basically, right, in a deep sense. And if I was thinking about, as we go into the song Relayshun, it really speaks to this point again, all the way from the personal to the kind of global situation. I want you to hear it in that light, as a call to go higher, past holding each other at arm's length, as you'll hear in the lyrics. You know, think about your families. Think about, you know, every single one of us, I'm sure, has some story or stories of profound division and alienation inside the families, inside our families, or even between partners, you know, divorces or any version of, or sibling rivalries, or, you know, bitter polarizations and divisions. But we know on that deep level, we've got to get past this. We can't just say, well, you know, you're out of my life. We can't say that anymore, not to each other Americans and not to each other nations and all people. And so that's how I hear this song. When I wrote this song, it was very much speaking to a personal, you know, kind of breakdown of a very important relationship and relationships in my life. But as we brought it back all these years later in this context, it's like, wow, it really does speak to the American family and the human family at large.
Now that as you do this, I'd like to show just an example of the same boat point that any word you might take, like motion, right? You can have something that's moving and something that's unmoving, but both are movers. The moving
like a chair
kind of,
or like any object. This
right.
this pen is not moving. Now
Right.
it is moving.
That's right.
But even
But
when it's not moving, it's movable. Yeah.
That's right. But what, like numbers, like the number 7 is not unmoving. It's a non-mover. It's a non-mover, not an unmover. This is an un-M, married, unmarried, right? Colored, colorless, plus color is still colored. I'm trying to show how polar opposites can still be in the same rational space. Capital M, motion, is going to have the capacity to be still or to move. So moving or not moving. Or any word, action, you can have be active or inactive, plus or minus, but they're both forms of action. So USA, right, is the same point there. You can have the plus and the minus, and the whole point we're making about relation is USA. In other words, this is all important. Any word in this space is already surrounded by the source. So that's the deeper law. Not A is A, separate, but every A is A. What does that mean? When you rise into the higher place, it opens up deeply. So the word relation now, we can be living in single bracket relation, or we can move into real relation. That's the unity.
And if we want peace, we can't just suppress violence, stay in the place of violence, which is what the objectified Lego matrix space is that we're all so used to. We can want peace really badly here, but lo and behold, peace is just unviolence.
That's right. They're still here.
That's not peace.
That's right.
That's not harmony.
That's been so hard to find peace. Peace, as all the great teachers across the planet, wisdom teachers, this is the place of peace. Jesus, Buddha. There's Jesus here, but there's Jesus here. Single bracket Jesus is not as powerful as the Christ Jesus, the double bracket Jesus, the Logos in the flesh, the Logos in the flesh, and the Buddha in the flesh, and the Yoga in the flesh, and the Tao in the flesh. All of these names are calling us to rise into true relation, love, connectivity, not objectifying self and other. That's violent. And so we can think we're nonviolent, but even violent and nonviolent or unviolent can still be in a form of violence. And so we have the gun issues and all of the terroristic behavior and all of these things. Where is it coming from? From slashing self and other. What's that? Cutting us off. This is the slasher. This is almost, when I say, Nathan, this is the ultimate violence. To be immersed in this A is A technology without realizing what we're doing, and having Google information and Googleizing and objectifying, which is we never objectify a person, but we do with each other. We make it into I and it an it is objectified. It's a Lego piece and not a logos human. So being a personal space, sacred space is here. And that's the relation of your song. I'm tired of pretending that these relations here, let's use this R, is not the same as the love, as the nonviolent, as encounters of the first kind. And when I heard this song, I was deeply moved, Nathan. I said, you're singing an anthem for the planet. All people have to move from Lego relations, synthetic relations, to organic, holistic, I-thou relation. There are two languages altogether, and your beautiful song, Calling to Relation, right? We can save the world today if we can just get woke and wake up and come into true relationality, Buddha's compassion, ethics, nonviolence. This is nonviolence. This is violence. Why? Because it's cutting us off from the source. You might say we're slashing God. We're slashing the word. We're slashing truth. We're slashing law. We're slashing USA. So USA here is stifling. 250 years, can we become a republic, a polis? And as Plato rightly said, where until there is wisdom in the polis is a community, we will not be a republic. We cannot be. in justice, truth and justice, until we enter the Logos. And that's wisdom. This is the path of wisdom. And so your song is a call to become human, to human up, which is the title of our offering. So let's hear it. I went on too long. Sorry.
It's okay. Here we go.
I'm tired of pretending like you know what you're talking about. I'm standing here naked, that maybe we could work it out. There's too much relation in this relationship, and all the degradation that comes from avoiding it. Got it on my mind, I think about it all the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You think that I'm mistaken, I'm bringing up all these years, but I know your heart's breaking on this trail of tears. It's not verbal irrigation, oh, to events of the past. I just believe in conversation when the feelings last. And what a shame to abide by the laws of pride. It's suicide of the heart, the same thing that tears the world apart. Yeah, yeah, you and I can save the world today. Can you forgive me for being afraid? I can love you for mistakes that you made. Ooh, and everything is the way that it's meant to be. You hold it at an arm's length, everything you despise, and it's taking every bit of strength to uphold your side. You wanna wipe your hands clean, but you forgot your mind, and now you're feeling lonely, all because you're justified. So what's it gonna take now? Yeah, yeah, to realize everything you hate now is tearing up your inside. Alright, what a shame to abide by the laws of pride. You know, if I died today, I'd only wish I had the chance to say, yeah, yeah, you and I could save the world today. Can you forgive me for being afraid? I can love you for mistakes that you made. Ooh, and everything is the way. Ooh, and everything is the way. Oh, now everything is the way. That it's meant to be.
Wow. I even heard some things I hadn't heard before, you know, in this context. You know, what a shame to abide. And I was saying abide is to live, right? Abide by or in the laws of pride, which is kind of a name for that matrix. And that ideological pride is the stubborn adherence to your worldview no matter what, right?
Your ideology.
Even at the cost of love, even at the cost of
your ID. It's your ID. All the great yoga is to let go of this ID so you can have a deeper ID. Jesus, unless you let go of this, the sin zone, so to speak, it cuts you off. Rise to the Christ ID. Get your true ID. Buddha, come into the Dharma. You're right. This is the laws of pride. A is the law of pride.
And pride, there's just like every A is A, you've been saying, right? Well, pride, every word is a double entendre. Like pride, in that sense, like the song calls out, is a deadly pride, a foolish pride. But there's something about pride. I've got pride in I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be black. I'm proud
to be, yes.
You know what I mean?
So, proud to be me, yes.
If I may finish, we're teetering on not a dangerous edge, but the edge of being where we could be conveyed or misunderstood, where when we're saying let go of this, we're not saying let go of your identity. We're not saying there is no difference, we're all the same. That's one problem with saying we're all one, is people register that in the Google space. You go, oh, we're all the same. And then therefore, where's my, my pride in my race and my religion and my, whatever it might be, or my tribe, but what we're saying here is that what's beautiful about ideology, like what ideology is trying to get to with the Google space, is trying to get to that deeper form of identity, which was what you were just saying, Dad. It's not, there is a letting go of a kind of identity, that safe space of, this is what I believe, this is my way, this is my world, my way of life. This, and if you threaten that, you're threatening me. And so that's where violence is inevitable. But if we all just could see that when we let go of that, we actually don't let go of our difference or our uniqueness or identity, but we actually gain it.
That's right.
And I think that's something that has to come through, with this.
That's right. Who am I really? When we uncover the shells and the Lego pieces and blinders and the lens we're using to process ourselves in the informationized space, we then become a cluster of attributes that is my CV, my story. And when two lovers meet and say, I would like to know who you are, right? Who you are, you really. Drop the facade, the veil, the cover, the informationized version of you to reveal who you are. And this goes for everything, anything here, when seen in the sacred space, the Van Gogh painting. Well, when you encounter that painting in an open space, not in an objectified, as on the wall of a museum, so to speak, but in your presence, nature, your lover, your child, your co-worker, or the person in your shared across the aisle. The aisle here is not a divisive aisle. You're not a partisan. And one of the messages we're making, Nathan, is ideology violates democracy.
That's violence.
1976 was calling us to stop doing that, stop being partisan, stop being ideological in this myopic sense and silo vision, Lego land, and come into, you can have, your point is great, because what is my story? Can I have an agenda without ideology? That people don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Can I be a Christian without making an ideology, a certain sectarian narrative that is the absolute truth of my Jesus and my gospel, or my Allah, or my Moses, or my yoga, or my America, or my science, whatever it is, whatever story you're using in the space, it becomes who you are. Now the question is, could you be a scientist with a deeper ID? An open mind, looking, encountering nature, and seeing the evidence here, right, across the aisle, right? It's not a division between spirituality versus rationality. Rationality is sacred. Democracy is sacred. The sacred space of being a human, a person, a first person, is a sacred space, and it's being violated and trampled upon by the ideological mind that Legoizes and makes into pieces and shatters. This is the divided house. And if we're going to heal, say USA, but across the planet, wherever we look, we see the divisions. If we're going to heal the fragmentation that comes from the Google-izer, the shredder, we're living in a shredder that mentally breaks up my mental psychological perceptions and experience and flow into pieces and mind bites and sound bites and so forth. And I can't hear the sound, the Unum sound, the sound of USA, the sound of our founders, Our founders were tapping this logos. And this is the land of law. This is the land of freedom. And your Relayshun song beautifully, Nathan, is saying that we're the laws of pride, and namely, why is it pride? Because me first. That's what ultimate bad, negative pride is, to privilege yourself.
Yes, right.
Above.
No, I'm not going to see your way. I'm not going to see your way. No, you can have your way, but that kind of pride, I'm right, you're wrong,
That's why there cannot be genuine sacred diversity here.
Mm-hmm.
The other is a threat.
And you would think our leaders would see that, but instead they're almost, on both sides embodying this division, this plus and minus principle.
Why, Nathan? Why?
Well, the same boat axiom that we keep bringing up.
Why is this so hard to see? It's been over 2,500 years. Our great teachers and scriptures are calling us to make a shift and step out of the pride. So for Abraham, put God first, not me first, not your Isaac first. Let it go. Sacrifice. Sacrifice this so that you could come into sacred space and put Yahweh first. Mm-hmm. And don't write the name of God here. It's beyond being downloaded into our language form. You have to rise into the God first, Allah first. All of Islam is surrender to Allah. What are you surrendering? Surrendering your ID.
And if you look at it in terms of science, not for those of you who don't relate to religion, you also have to answer to something higher than your lens. That's the whole point of science is the unbiased ethic of unprejudiced, yes.
This prejudice is because prejudges you, because by being in here, you are going to have a lens to process your world, make your world the world of science, whether it's Ptolemy, Copernicus, Newton, Einstein, and beyond. You change your lens, you change your world, right? So it keeps changing. We all have the capacity to dilate and change our lens within this space. And so we have all of the narratives of disciplines and cultures and religions and scriptures across the planet being processed in this space. It's not that we don't have access to this. We do. Because this arrow is saying we couldn't do this. We couldn't Google without God, without the source, without logos, word. You couldn't have the derivative word. This is a derivative space. Mm-hmm. And USA, for example, is derivative. Mm-hmm. And we've got to get to the first base. We've got to get to home base. Mm-hmm. Cross into the sacred space. If I'm a Christian, and I've been a Christian with an ideology version of Jesus, when Jesus above all was saying, stop the ideology. You got to die to come into Christ. Love your enemy as yourself. What's that mean? You got to break the partisanship, the ideology ship. Because that ship ain't going. It's a Titanic. This ship, the same boat, all of this in the same boat, our great teacher says this is unsustainable. This is going down. And we got to go up into the Logos arc. This is the Logos arc.
So it sounds like you're suggesting you don't have to give up Jesus, let's say, but you actually get the real Jesus or the real Moses or the real Muhammad.
That's right.
Real Krishna.
Right.
When we let go of the objectified version that we try to control on our terms.
And if you put God here, we're putting God in the single bracket. God is not God. Single bracket, God is not God. Which is the Logos. The infinite. The infinite. God is not tribal. God is not an ideology. No ideology can reach source.
Right, exactly. And so and if we bring that into the American drama, I mean, America ain't America.
That's right.
Right? Constitution ain't Constitution.
That's right. Here.
So on. Right? So
we can be conscientious and speak of no one's above the law and we're all under the law and but the law here is not the same as the law.
Right.
The Logos law. Everyone, all humans are under that law.
Right, and that's the House United. That's the only place.
That's where we're going now.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this.
I believe in you.
I'm running out of paper.
I believe in you.
right? So that we should just realize every word that we write, whatever the word is, it has a deeper meaning. Every word. You say I, well, how do I go from I to I? Well, it's not that you have to go from here to there, because you're already here. We're all of us. We're being held by the infinite.
You know, I can do that on my pad. Let me bring this up.
You should show this. You do much better than I am in your living pad.
Yeah, so step aside. Watch this.
USA here to be USA.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. I got rid of you too soon. Okay, so here we go. And I'm gonna just to reassure people, we're non-partisan here. Oops. There we go. And let's go ahead and do. Remember that infinite is just reminding us it's everywhere. It's nowhere. There's nowhere it ain't. You're already here, no matter where you go. You're already here. And if we put the person here, this person, and if they are unawares of the single bracket, you asked me earlier, why is it so hard to see? Well, it's how we see. We're not seeing the single brackets because it's behind our eyes, so to speak. It's lodged. It's the springboard for all of our interpretation and perceiving, including our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, everything. Facts. You know, it has this kind of behind the eyes. It's the ones and zeros, if you will, of our single bracket informational consciousness. So what we're essentially saying is, you know, you're already here. The process is not, like you said, that not going from down lower to up higher in that sense, but it's more like dropping the blinders.
Right.
And you're already here. You're already in the embrace, if you will. And, you know, you could just as well say, you know, USA, right? Boom. So we're dealing, this is the picture right here. You know, USA is already here. The land of the free is here, but we have to drop something deep. We have to drop that single bracket version, that single bracket code, in order to arrive and to be already here, which is the song we're going to hear soon.
Nothing. It doesn't mean beautifully done. Beautifully done. It doesn't mean we have to give up information or right. Give up Google. There's no way we're going to do that, or should. It's not to give up what's familiar to us, but we have to come into a new relationship with it.
That's it.
Go ahead.
That's it. I'm just affirming what you're saying.
We have to come into a new relation with it. I'm trying to get back there. But when you remove the single bracket slasher, the shredder, right? To go, it's important to see this enough, and I don't think we really took time enough to do. This is awfully messy, but just think of time. Time, for example, single bracket time is not the same as double bracket time. Single bracket time is Lego time, and it's got the past is separate from the future, from present, and the present is moving, and the past is over, the future is not here, so that gets shredded. So time, whether it's calendar time, whatever calendar we're using, or clock or measure of time, and psychological time, and so forth, it's broken into pieces. But to cross into the awakened mind, here in whether it's yoga, whether it's Christ, whether it's Buddha, whatever the name was, reason, the logos,
science,
time, it's infinitely connected. So now to experience double bracket now, we don't have to go from throughout now. We have to go deeper into now, because all times past, present, and future are now. Why? Because all of the points are connected in the Unum Pluribus. So that's why in a grain of sand, there's an infinity in a grain of sand, an eternity in an hour, an hour. In every moment here, it's connected. That's the main point. The infinite flow of reality. We're talking about the science of reality. When you say source science, we mean the centuries of a questing first philosophy, The language and grammar and the DNA for what's first. Source is first, by whatever name. And it's infinite. And it's infinitely interflow and connected and dynamic. And we can't access it here when we're cut off and using a form of life that's cutting us off from access, the direct access. Even though we do have access, it's being interfered with.
Where even trying to get better with a good heart and good intention can get you almost entrenched deeper.
That's right.
I think that's what we're seeing right now.
That's right. If we don't step back and zoom out to see this condition, this human condition, and this state of Google space and Legoland, and this is where our culture and politics and love life and raising our children and educating one another and so forth is all going on here. And as Nathan's Relayshun song is, the relations here are not genuine relation, intimacy, sacred intimacy.
Love, real love.
Love, sexuality, father, daughter, father, son, human parental relations, right? All human relations across borders, all borders, it can be. So when we say, why can't we get along? I mean, that voice we say, why can't we all get along? That point. And the urgent plea, because we're in a place that doesn't get along. This is the don't get along space.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because it's artificial Legoland. To get along, we have to go into dialogue. And Nathan, at some point, we need to help our friends who are joining us to experience the 7 stages of deep dialogue.
Yes. We have a video. We actually have the video. It's on the playlist. We'll put a link now if you want to click over to it. But this is a document that my dad brought through in 1997, which is a profound, almost like a profile of this shift from monologue to dialogue. And what
monologue to dialogue, right? 7 stages of
amazing.
Getting to America. 7 stages of moving to being a human. 7 stages of moving to deeper science, deeper education.
Citizenship.
Right. Becoming a human. Everything's at stake, is what we're saying. That when we're colonized by a matrix that we don't see because we're in it and embedded, until we can snap out of it and come back and wake up and begin to say, OMG, right? I've been duped in a way. I've been stuped. I've been captured. I was colonized. I'm leaving the cave. As great as I thought it was, there's a deeper way to become activists.
But what you just said is, yes, activision, yes. And what you said, I don't want to lose that point because it sounded easy. The way you said it. Oh my gosh, I've been in the cave. That is such a huge step, guys. And because we're so afraid, there's so much condemnation in this prejudiced space down here where we're so quick to the draw in condemning the other, right? And we want to, and we do that to ourselves. It's very scary. There's almost a fight or flight mechanism that prevents us from getting real, which is prevents us from zooming out. We're so scared of leaving that space. And I hesitate to use the word admitting, but it is a kind of admittance to go, oh my God, I've been slashing. I'm such a good person. I would never hurt another person. But could I still be using the objectified lens? Could it be so deep? I didn't realize it was there. Guys, that's the beginning of liberation, of true emancipation. But I just wanted to zero in on that point because it's not a small one. When you say you got to, it's like death. It's like a letting go. We are deeply afraid. And I want you to see when you have activision, that circumvents the fight or flight response to this transition. It's like what if we see the Titanic's going down, it's like, don't panic, stay calm, single file, it's that kind of principle. As we start to open up to this awareness, it can trigger a panic, but it's very important to remember you're already here. There's no there to get to. You don't have to swim across the ocean here. It's already here. So as we play this song, I want you to just really let it wash over you like medicine and know, it is all right. Everything is all right. Even though we are in the danger zone in a deep, profound sense, and this is urgent, you're all right. You're being held, you're being sustained. We're all, USA has got us, planet Earth has got us, but it's time to get woke. So, you ready?
I'm ready. No, I love this song. We're already here. That's That's a global call of all our great scriptures and religions. The kingdom of God is at hand. That's another version of it. The infinite field is right here where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Always right here. It's everywhere. God is everywhere. Source is everywhere. Being is everywhere. Reality is everywhere. Right? Logos is everywhere. And it's all therefore already here. Right? And we have to get out of the way. And we've been dominated by an important stage of informationism that leads to ideologyism, which is a form of violence, unintentional violence, and even intentional violence within that space of mutual objectification. And you can't have you can't save a republic of dialogue and democracy in that slash zone. And I love the song, we're already here. Get out of your way.
And there's a voice that comes in right in the middle. It's kind of my little attempt at rapping.
I love it. It's profound. You've got to post the lyrics on that. I love it.
Yeah, I will. But think of that as a voice. That's kind of in all of us. It's that negating, cynical, judgmental, never enough, insatiable voice that comes in that creates a lot of stress, and it creates a lot of ridiculous behavior trying to fill the void. Why? Because we forgot that we're already here. So remember that as we hit play.
Already here. Oh, all right now. Yeah, already here. Oh, all right now. Yeah. Contemplating as I'm all alone, I have a little conversation with the microphone about hesitating as the sun in the sky, fast forward, passing over, taking turns with the night. My life, your life, our lives, this life, it keeps passing by. Someday, one day, not today, I'll find my place when it's all just a state of mind. Already here. Oh, alright now. Yeah, already here. Oh, alright. Yeah. Oh, meditating on the days gone by, I can see all my patterns and it makes me sigh. Been conforming to the age-old ways, like a voluntary slave to the day I die. I know that you know, I know that you know, I know you know it too. Well, nothing's ever closer than the love inside. Nothing's more abundant than your very own light. We've been lip syncing to the same old lies, when heaven's right here and it's a free ride. Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. Cool. Well, let me give you the other half of the story. See, everything I want is like a pie in the sky. I settle for the orange, not the apple of my eye. And the grass is looking greener everywhere that I am. There's golden opportunities and I'm always too late. Now if you're looking for a beat, tell me be here now. I know that it's for real, but in the now I'm feeling down. If you don't wanna live to see tomorrow, tell me to breathe. I know it's the solution, but I'm too busy grieving, not achieving what I want, cause it's too far away. I don't wanna lift a finger, I just wanna be great. Satisfaction's just a fantasy, year after year, cause I'm never quite there. Already here. Oh, alright now. Yeah, already here. Oh, alright. Yeah. Feeling the love, I'm feeling alive. It just took a little time just to realize it. Feeling the love, I'm feeling alive. It just took a little time just to realize it. Feeling the love, I'm feeling alive. It just took a little time just to realize it. Feeling the love, I'm feeling alive. It just took a little time just to realize it. Feeling the love, I'm feeling alive. Feeling
feeling the love, feeling the life. Just took a little time to realize it. Seeing that in a new way in this context. It's gonna take a little time. It's gonna take a little effort, but we got to remember it's here, and we got to, keep turning to the light. In this sense, that's this liberated level of reason.
That's right. And the Logos now, that is beautiful. The Logos is already, let's say, we're always held in the womb of the Logos, the infinite Sophia, the Logos Sophia, the Unum Pluribus, reality, being. This is the place of bliss. And we're here, even though we're cut off and artificially cut off because we're doing something. We've got to vote. We have a choice. We don't have to stay inside under the influence of this matrix. We can rise to be under the influence of the source. And this journey to USA, for example, but all humans have to cross into this united house. This is the state of Unum, the state of the union. It's not here. This is a state of disunion, divided house. But this is a state of the Unum, the union, in profound sacred diversity of everyone is diverse and that everyone's interwoven, not just with each other, across all borders of nature and with the cosmos. We're unified here in the space of law. This is the law. This is the Logos, and no one is above the law. We're all under that law, and that's when we become free, when we're one with the law, and that is a land of free. And it takes courage, and that's the home of the brave. And that's really where we've gone from the divided house, episode 7, to the united house, the United States. And the USA here is just waiting for us to step out of the way and end in the space of sacred dialogue. And this is where the 7 stages of crossing from this technology into the technology of dialogue, of encountering self and other in a sacred space, 7 stages that might be very helpful now to everyone who wants to say, how do we do this? How do we go from here to here? Mm-hmm. From here to here. Mm-hmm. But it's not over there. Here to here is right here. Mm-hmm. Right? And so the genius is just so there's God in every person. There's Om in every person. There's Logos in every person. It's a basic elementary axiom of source science. The infinite is everywhere in a grain of sand, in a grain of human. Mm-hmm. And therefore, that's great news. What we're bringing is not to give up and sacrifice, but it's to celebrate the nirvana. This is nirvana. This is heaven. It's at hand. It's right here. Heaven is at hand. Nirvana, bliss, happiness, flourishing, well-being, love, ethics. This is ethics. This is pre-ethics. This is reason. This is pre-reason. This is cognition. This is pre-cognitive. And we have cognitive dissonance here because knowing here breaks in fragments, but knowledge here integrates. This is integral intelligence. And so this is the journey into the 8th episode, Nathan. And thank you for your music. It's very powerful.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. And I think it's a good time to sign off.
Right, and we'll continue in episode 9.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So much, I know there's so much here that we need to draw out to make it more palatable. What does it mean to be in the same boat? And why is ideology and being ideological, and partisan? The call of reason is to stop being tribal and cultic. Culture here can be cultic, rather than liberated and critical thinking and awakened mind. Mm-hmm. All of this is so much for us. So what is education here and education here? Mm-hmm. How do I get a Valentine card here that says you're the greatest thing in my life, to a Valentine card here that realizes you're not a thing, you're a person. You're my lover, right? You're not an object, right? You're a presence, and I'm not an object of affection. To meet in that sacred space, it's a journey of being a human. And there's so much more to go into, and we love sharing this, and our 9th episode is coming soon.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on Human Up TV. We'll see you next time.